So the last thing that we want to look at with this naming alkanes is naming cycloalkanes. So we looked at how to name unbranched alkanes and we looked at how to name branched alkanes, but we have not yet looked at any examples of naming cycloalkanes. Just in case you're still kind of uncertain, these are alkanes that have a ring instead of a straight chain. So when you're naming a cycloalkane, for the most part, you're going to follow the same rules as you would follow for a straight chain. Let's make this one a little more interesting. Let's give it a branch or a substituent. So if we're following the same rules as we would for a for a straight chain alkane, we're looking for the longest continuous chain of carbons, and that is going to be, the ring. That will be our longest continuous chain. And the second thing that we do is number that continuous chain starting at the end closest to the substituent or the branch. Now that's kind of confusing with the cycloalkane because it doesn't have an end. It's a ring. It doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. So when we're numbering this straight chain, we want to start numbering on a carbon that is holding a substituent, the substituent in this case. And then we can continue numbering either clockwise or counterclockwise around the ring. So that's how we get the numbering for our cycloalkane. So we are going to number starting at one of the branches. We're going to look at examples with more than one branches, so you'll know what to do in that case. So we get to pick carbon number 1. And then from there on out, it's the same as it would be for a regular straight chain alkane. So we locate our branch. There's our branch right there. We find its position. It is on carbon number 1. And we name it based on how many carbon atoms are in that branch. Remember, we have the names of our branches in table 12.2. A 2-carbon branch is named ethyl. So this guy is 1-ethyl. And then we're just going to put that at the front of the name, 1-ethyl, and follow that by the name of the parent chain. This is a 6-carbon ring. 6 carbons are, looking at table 12.1, 6-carbon is a hexane. When it's cyclic, we add cyclo at the front of the name. So this is cyclohexane. Now, one of the things that is kind of tricky when you're naming cycloalkanes, because we get to choose where carbon number 1 is, and we are all going to choose the same carbon to be carbon number 1, the 1 does not need to be included in the beginning of the name. So you could name this just ethyl cyclohexane. Now, if that's confusing to you, if you're like, oh my gosh, I was doing okay until now, you don't have to worry about that. It's totally okay for you to call it 1-ethyl cyclohexane and just always call it the same thing, always include all the numbers all the time. That's totally fine. That's not a big deal. You will see a problem on Sapling where they're giving you this type of a name and they have left the 1 out of the name. But that's the only situation in which you're going to come across this. So if you don't want to worry about it, you don't have to worry about it. Let's do another example, this time with a couple substituents. So we're going to find the longest carbon chain, and for us, for the molecules that we deal with, that's always going to be the ring. Now we want to number that, and we want to number starting at one of the branches. So we can start, we can start numbering either here or here. It's totally our choice. One of those is going to be carbon number 1. Typically, the best thing to do is to think about alphabetization. This substituent, which is bromo, comes before chloro in the alphabet. So we should give that guy carbon number 1, just to be consistent with alphabetization. And that's the way that we break a tie when we've got 2 potential number 1 carbons. When we continue numbering around this ring, we do have 2 options. We could number this way around the ring, or we could number the other way around the ring. Our goal is to put the smallest possible set of numbers onto our substituent. So we do want to number it like this, like the way it's being shown right now, so that bromine and chlorine both have the littlest possible numbers. Now that we have it numbered, we're going to put the name together. Alphabetizing the substituent, bromine comes first. It's on carbon number 1. It's called bromo. Next we have chlorine. It's on carbon number 2 and we call it chloro. And then we name the parent chain cyclohexane.